Okay, welcome back. Now we're on Chapter 7, Seeing the World as the Shell Sees It, page 67. Okay, so, well, let me, okay, so, okay. I mentioned the echo command. Echo command is a really cool way of testing out something that you're getting ready to use. For example, if I said ls minus user like that, I go, oh, I want to see what that's gonna do. So you just type in echo, and echo will actually show you what it would have done. Okay, because file name expansion is sometimes confusing, and you'd like to see it before you actually do it. Particularly like if you're using like the remove command with some asterisks, I think I'd like to see the thing it's getting ready to do before I hit the real button. Okay, so if I said ls minus with an asterisk here, okay, asterisk means show me everything. Well, is it going to show me everything? Well, it actually didn't show me the ones that start with dot. So you might think, oh, well, in that case, I'll do like ls dot asterisk. Well, that's only going to show me the ones. Okay, I lied. Yeah, that's only going to show me the ones that have a dot in them. Actually, an awful lot of them have dots in them, but who cares? Yikes. Okay. So, remember the A, the A option, right? So ls minus A means all, and ls minus capital A means almost all. So all the almost alls, all that did was take out the dot and dot dot, because sometimes you don't need the synonyms for the current directory and the parent directory. Like I'm trying to do a listing because every folder has a dot and a dot dot. It's like if you're trying to count the number of files that are in a folder, you don't want to count those, right? Because all folders have dot and dot dot. All right, so that's not really what you want, right? Okay, cool. So, and we talked about how you can do an ls with a little tilde, and that means the same thing as the home directory. Remember all this stuff? Okay, good. All right, we're moving on. So the next one talks about using the shell to do math. Okay, now this is frustrating as hell, and because of that, I don't know of anyone who does this. So I'm going to go through it and show it to you, but to tell you the truth, it's not something you're going to be doing on a regular basis. So let's say I wanted to say echo, what is 2 plus 4? So I'm just going to type this. And it says, well, 2 plus 4 is 2 plus 4. So no, I really want you to do some math here. I want you to do the math and then show me the answer. Well, unfortunately, here's how it's done. It's $, open, 2 plus 4, close. Okay, now first of all, that's horrible. Absolutely horrible. The second thing is, it only works for integer math. I mean, I can't do anything with floating point or anything, so that's pretty dumb. So let's say, for example, you had in your mind, you wanted to get echo something like 2 plus 4 or 2 plus 4 times 3. Okay, that's what you really want. Well, in order to because remember you have to have the double parentheses to make this thing work. Oh my God, this thing is going to look horrible. Absolutely horrible. But I'll show it to you anyway. Okay, it's going to be $, and then $, 2 plus 4 times 3. Okay, can you see why nobody does this? Oh well, doggone, I messed it up at some place. Doesn't matter. That ain't the point. The point is, this sucks. This sucks big time. Missed one of these parentheses in here. Okay, good Lord. So we talked about file name expansion with the asterisk. Okay, cool. So there's another one, which it's called file name globbing. That sounds like a strange thing. So if I was to say, for example, ls k asterisk, okay, that's going to find find all the files that start with K. Okay, makes sense. So pattern matching means find things that already exist. Okay, this next thing we're going to be talking about is kind of sort of like pattern matching, but we're not talking about things that exist. In fact, we're going to be using that to create new things. Okay, I mentioned the touch command way back when. So let's say I want to create several files. I want to create a command, 3 files. One of them called test1, test2, and test3. I could go in here and just say, touch, test1, test2, and test3. That would work, right? Okay. I'm going to go ahead and remove those guys. All right, now I'm going to do that again, except this time I'm going to use that file name globbing thing. So here's how it works. If you put things in curly braces, what that basically means is, so test, I'm going to say 1 through 5. What do you think about that? What that means is create me 5 files with the name test and then followed by whatever the number is. Okay, so if I do an ls, I should have a test1, test2, test3. So it's not it's pattern matching, but we're not matching any existing files. We're using this to create new files. Okay, so if I ask you, like in a test question, what's the difference between brace expansion, which is the real term, brace expansion, and file name pattern matching, what would you tell me? Okay. All right. So there's another one. The machine keeps track of all sorts of things about you, where you are. It's called the environment. And so it's basically a list of variables that stick around whenever you log into the system. Okay? And so I'm going to say echo, and then I'm going to say $user, okay? So $sign means the thing I'm talking about is an environmental variable, and it's going to display the username. Kind of cool. So one of the cool ways you can see all the environmental variables is to say print env, one word, print env, and it'll show them all. Okay, there's a lot. For example, the current language, and the user, and the current PWD, and where your home is, and whether or not you have any mail set up, and what shell you're using, and a bunch of things. So all these things are environmental variables. Environmental variables are designed so that when I go from one place to another in the system, I can keep these things with me. So, for example, my language always stays that wherever I go in the system. So if I wanted to switch it to French, I could just type in, whatever that thing is. I guess it's lang, and then type in some other thing. Cool? All right. So now the next one, remember we talked about how sort of like command redirection kind of a thing? Remember how we had the pipe command and the T command and all that stuff? Well, sometimes what I want is, remember how, for example, let's do which CP. Okay, and then I want to do an ls on that. So I want to do an ls minus al on bin CP. Okay? So I did 2 commands. I did a which CP, and then after I found out the answer, and then so what I really want to do is I want to take the output of which CP and have it appear as not as the input, okay, not as the standard input, but as a command line argument. I want to take that and substitute it on the command as if I had typed it. So here's how it's done. ls minus al. Remember how we did the $sign doodad? Which CP. What that's going to mean is going to take which CP, figure out what which CP is, and put that in the line. Okay? just to show you what I'm talking about, I'm gonna go ahead and do this. Okay, and then I'm gonna ask it. I'm gonna do an echo to see what the hell it's doing, and see how the command line actually got the thing it got was ls-al space /bin/cp. So that $ with the parentheses guy, which was horrible to use with doing math. God almighty, don't do that. But it's pretty doggone useful with regard to taking the command and stitching it onto the command of something else. The output of one command onto the command line of something else. Okay, so it's not redirecting the input-output. It's actually putting it in the command. Now, there's two ways you can do this. This is kind of sort of the new way. The old way, instead of using the $ guys, it uses the what I call the gravesend, the backwards single quote. I don't know what the hell you call the thing. Okay, backwards, and that still works. Although I don't know why that one's out of favor. I guess maybe because I don't know. It's just kind of weird. Anyway, there's two different ways you can use the command substitution thing. Okay, with the reverse quote or whatever the heck thing is called. Okay, so let's talk about quotes now that we're talking about quotes. So let's do this. First of all, I'm going to type echo hello and then put a handful of spaces and then say there. Well, that didn't do what I'd expected. I was expecting to see a bunch of spaces in there. Okay, well, let's try that with quotes. Yay, I got what I wanted. Okay, so double quotes eliminate white space collapsing, okay? And sometimes I want to do more than that. Sometimes I want my quoting to be stronger. Let me give an example. If I say, echo, remember how we did this guy where we did an ls-al and then we did a which cp? Remember that guy? Okay, so that's what it's going to do. So what happens if I put that in quotes? Well, to tell you the truth, not much is going to happen. It's going to say, well, I know what you meant. I mean, it's the same thing. But single quotes are stronger. Single quotes mean I don't want you to do any expansion whatsoever. Just take it as it is. So you see how double quotes still allow expansion to occur, but single quotes say, man, I ain't doing any expansion whatsoever. If you put single quotes in there, then I'm going to pass exactly that off to the command line. Okay, so one more time. Single quotes are stronger. If I ask you a test question, what's the difference between single quotes and double quotes? You're going to tell me that the single quote guy it prevents all expansions from occurring. Okay. So sometimes when you're doing echo, you have to escape something that's kind of different. For example, remember how the $ is kind of a special thing? So if I said like this, it's going to come back and go, that's not exactly what I wanted, right? So one of the things you can do is you can do a substitution with a backslash. And so the backslash basically says, don't let that mean something. Cool? All right. Whew. So escaping that. On page 68, or actually table 7 too, because God only knows what that is a listing of all of the common escape sequences. And there are quite a few of them. And some of them we use, backspace and new line and carriage return and tab. The bell command kind of sort of works, but you have to kind of set it up to work right, because most of the time the shell won't answer to a bell command. But that's beside the point. Okay, we're at the 15-minute mark, so we'll pick this up again in just a few.